So now let's learn about your second physical feature, which is the Northern Great Plains. So how was the Great Plains formed? Now, the plains were formed due to the depositional activities of three main river systems, okay? So which is the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. Now these three river systems, they have been flowing for millions of years and they have been doing a lot of deposition, okay? So they bring the alluvium with them. What is alluvium? It is the sand and the earth that the river picks up while it flows. So as it flowed through the Himalayas, right? So it picks up all of this alluvium and it deposits it in the foothills, in the basin, okay? So as it started depositing, the land started becoming flatter and flatter, and we, have the Northern Great Plains. In your book, it's mentioned as Sutlej River, but Sutlej River is a tributary of the Indus River, so that's why I took it as Indus. Now let's learn about the location. Now the Northern Great Plains, right? Now they extend from the foothills of the Himalayas in the north to the edge of the Peninsula Plateau in the south, okay? So here we have the foothills of the Himalayas, here we have the edge of the Peninsular Plateau. And the extent, now the extent of the Northern Great Plains is 2,500 kilometers and the width ranges from about 240 to 340 kilometer. And it's a total area, it covers a total area of 7 lakh kilometers square. Okay, so this makes it the largest alluvial soil tract in the world. So like I said, alluvium is brought down, right? So that becomes the alluvial soil in the Great Plains. Now let's learn about the importance of our Great Northern Plains. First of all, there is extremely rich soil, correct? Extremely rich soil, and there is water year round because the rivers that flow in this region are snow-fed from the Himalayan mountains, so there is water all through the year. So since there is extremely good soil, extremely good water and favorable climate, this area becomes the most agriculturally productive land, okay? So that it's very, very important that way. And because the land is flat, it's very easy to construct roads, railway systems, means of communication, and this becomes the center of civilization actually. Alva? So there's a lot of activities that can take place here, and that's why it's also very, very densely populated, this particular area. Now let's learn about the Peninsula Plateau, which is the third physical feature that we're learning. It's also the largest physical feature in India, okay? It's also the oldest physical feature in India and perhaps one of the oldest in the world because it was part of this land called Gondwana land, okay? Gondwana. Gondwana land, which was a part of Pangaea. Remember I told you that all of the continents were... So Pangaea, now this Pangaea was one supercontinent which was part of, which had all of the other continents which is currently there in the world today as one big mass, okay? So now, a part of Pangaea was Gondwana land. Now, our Peninsula Plateau is a part of this Gondwana land, okay? So that's why it is one of the oldest features on India, and it has one of the oldest rocks in the world, the igneous and the metamorphic rocks, which is formed after the lava cooled, okay? So when volcanic eruptions happened millions of years ago, so all of that lava, it cooled down and formed igneous and metamorphic rocks. So our Peninsula Plateau has all of these rocks. Now let's learn about where it is located located, okay, and the extent. Now it is located south of the plains, the northern plains, and it is roughly triangular in shape, and the apex of the triangle is the Cape of Kanyakumari. Okay, so it is south of the Great Northern Plains, triangular in shape, and apex being the Cape of Kanyakumari. Okay, and the area that it covers is roughly about 16 lakh kilometers square. Now, the Peninsula Plateau is bordered by many things, okay? It's bordered by some mountain ranges. Let's learn about that. Now, we have the Aravalli mountain range, and we have the Vindhya and the Satpura, and then the Mahadev Hills over here, and then we have the continuous chain of the Western Ghats, and then we have the broken Eastern Ghats, okay? Now, these are the central highlands, okay? So this is actually called the Malwa Plateau, and this over here, this southern, is the Deccan Plateau, and over here is the Chota Nagpur Plateau to the east, the northeast. Chota Nagpur, okay? So the Malwa, Chota Nagpur and Deccan. Now, towards the northwest of our tableland over here is the Aravalli mountain range, correct? So this is an old fold mountain. It's one of the oldest fold mountains, and in the Abu Hills, right, it has the tallest peak in the Aravalli range is Mount Shikhar at a height of 1772 meters above sea level. And then over here we have the Vindhya mountain range, which is towards the north of the Narmada river valley, okay, and Satpura range runs in the east-west direction. It's to the south of the Vindhya mountains, and it is in between the Narmada and the Tapi rivers. Now here we have the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. Let's learn about them. Now the Western Ghats, as you can see, they are a continuous chain of mountains, and they run parallel to the west coast of India. Now the Eastern Ghats are broken chains of mountains, and they run parallel to the east coast of India. And these mountains, Western Ghats, are comparatively taller than the Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats are shorter, Western Ghats are taller, okay? And the Western Ghats, they start from the Tapi river in the north, the Tapi river valley in the north to Kanyakumari. Now the Eastern Ghats extend from the Mahanadi river valley over here in the north to the Nilgiri hills in the south, where they join the Western Ghats. Now the Western Ghats are also known as the Sahyadri mountains, okay, and they have steep slopes in the western side. So towards the ocean, steep slopes. Towards the land, which is the eastern side of the mountains, the slopes are very gentle, okay. And there are important mountain passes here also. Some of them are the Bolghat, Palghat and Talghat. Now below the Talghat mountain pass, the Western Ghat mountains are called as the Annaimalai Hills, Palani Hills and the Cardamom Hills, okay. And the highest mountain in the Western Ghats is a part of the Annamalai Hills and is known as Annamudi. Annamudi, which is 2695 meters above sea level. And the highest mountain in the Eastern Ghats is called the Armakonda. Now let's learn about the importance of the Peninsular Plateau. Now as we know, it's very rich in minerals. So some of the important minerals are bauxite, which is aluminium. We have iron ore, we have copper, we have gold ores, so there's, and many more. So it's very rich in minerals, and there's thick forests and biodiversity that you can find, especially in the Western and the Eastern Ghats and all of the mountain ranges. And the Western Ghats in particular play a huge role in the southwest monsoons, which you will learn in the climate chapter, and the black soil. Now, as you know that the Peninsular Plateau is made up of igneous and metamorphic rocks. They have denuded over time, they have broken down and become black soil, which is very, very good for agriculture. And this place is also the birthplace of many South Indian rivers like Krishna, Kaveri, Tungabhadra, Godavari. So some of the rivers, most of the rivers flow east towards the Bay of Bengal, and there's a few rivers that flow to the west into the Arabian Sea, and we use it for generation of hydroelectric power as well. So in that sense, it's very important. Now let's learn about coastal plains, which is your fourth physical feature. Okay. Now, the fringes or the edges. Okay. Like this is a rough diagram. Fringe andre edge. So the fringes of the Peninsular Plateau. So our Peninsular Plateau is somewhat like this. Sorry. So the fringes, the edges, so this part, okay, and this part. The fringes of the Peninsular Plateau is nothing but the coastal plains, okay, and they extend from Run of Kutch, the Run of Kutch in Gujarat till the Ganga Delta in West Bengal. Okay, Run of Kutch in Gujarat to the Ganga Delta in West Bengal, and it extends all through on either side. And the coastal plains can be divided into two parts. So this is the western coastal plain and this is the eastern coastal plain. Now let's learn about the western coastal plain. Now as you can see, it is here. Now it is sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. Okay, and it runs from the Run of Kutch till Kanyakumari, and we can break it up into three parts. So from the Run of Kutch, Daman to Goa, Goa to Mangaluru to here Kanyakumari. So Daman to Goa is called the Konkan coast. Goa to Mangaluru, Karnataka coast. Mangaluru to Kanyakumari, Konkan coast. So, the western coastal plains, as you can see, are narrower than the eastern coastal plains, which are wider. Okay. Now, the eastern coastal plains is sandwiched between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. Okay. It runs from the north of the Sabarnarekha river. North of Sabarnarekha river till Kanyakumari. Alright. Now the Peninsular Plateau, actually it slopes, okay, it slopes from the west to east. So it's not exactly a flat table land, it slightly slopes. So there's many east flowing rivers, okay. Some of them are Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri and Mahanadi. So the Krishna river, as it flows, it roughly cuts the eastern coastal plains into two parts. So the northern part here is called the Northern Sarkar, and the bottom south is called the Coromandel coast. Alright. Now these rivers which flow towards the east also form deltas in the coastal plains. Now what are deltas? When these rivers, right, as they reach the gentler slopes and as the, this steep tumba jasti illa, okay, so as it flows, they carry, since they're carrying a lot of sediments and they're trying to join the ocean, which is stagnant, it flows slowly and then it deposits all of its sediments before it enters the ocean. So that time it forms deltas over here in the eastern coastal plains, and that's why it's good for agriculture agriculture as well. And there are also a couple of notable lagoons over here, and some of them are the Chilika Lagoon and the Lake Kolleru Lagoon. So lagoon andrenu, it's a water body, it's a small water body which is relatively close to a large water body and can either be salt water or fresh water, but it doesn't have a fresh water source. So basically the lagoons are stagnant. Okay, the famous one is Lake Chilika. Now let's learn about the importance of coastal plains. Obviously, it has a lot of natural harbors. So harbors are places where ships, huge ships can transfer cargo. So they can come and dock in the harbor so that we can do trade with lots of other foreign countries. Okay, so it's very, very important in terms of economy. And some of our natural harbors are Kandla, Mumbai, Marmagoa, Kochi, Visakhapatnam, Kolkata, etc. And obviously from we can do a lot of fishing, shipbuilding, which happens in Visakhapatnam and some other places, and agriculture. Like I told you, the eastern coastal plains are wider, so we can grow a lot of items over there, and production of salt. And obviously beaches, specifically in Goa, and because it promotes tourism, we have beautiful beaches all along our coasts. And the backwaters, which are created, right? So they are very useful for transportation. So internally, domestic transportation, we can use the backwaters. Now let's learn about the last physical feature, which is islands. So other than the mainland, we have quite a good amount of islands. As part of India, we have about 247 islands, out of which 204 are in the Bay of Bengal and 43 are in the Arabian Sea. Now, the islands in the Arabian Sea are called the Lakshadweep Islands, and they are coral islands. Coral islands. You know that corals are actually sea animals. Alright, so these are coral islands, and over here we have many islands, 204 in the Bay of Bengal. So the northern islands are collectively known as the Andaman, and the southern islands are called the Nicobar Islands, and they are actually mountains inside the ocean. So they are submarine mountains. Okay. And since they're very close to the equator, they have a very different climate as compared to the mainland. They have equatorial climate, that means very hot and humid climate, and they have dense vegetation, different flora and fauna. Flora andre plants, fauna andre animals, and they have very, very thick equatorial forests. Same goes with the Lakshadweep Islands as well.